Going.
Okay, I will call this meeting of the Durham Board of Selectmen to order on February 23rd, 2021. We are obviously still in the virtual Zoom format, so that means we have to call a roll. So board members, when I call your name, please say something so that we can confirm that anybody listening or watching the meeting can hear you. Rich George.
Here.
Todd Boyer.
Here.
Rob Ponto.
Here.
And my name's Kevin Netto. I'm here as well. Mark Farron is excused tonight. He had a work commitment that he couldn't get out of. So any board members have amendments to the agenda? Oh, you good? Okay. Is there anybody here for the public comment portion of our meeting? You can use the raise your hand function, or if you don't know how to do that, you can just wave. Okay, I'm not seeing any. So we'll move on from that. And we'll go into action and discussion items. And 4A, Region 10 information. And Nancy Weed is with us tonight. Hi, Nancy. Nice of you to join us tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Nancy's going to talk to us a little bit about some potential changes, I guess you'd term them, or ideas about transforming Region 10 technical education.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas. It's our vision for our board. So I did send along a packet. I hope you all got the packet and had a chance to read through that. It saves a lot of time in a meeting like this. This is really a time for me just to share information and make sure we keep everybody in the loop. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to do that. So often we focus on just our school colleagues and getting out and talking to like school boards and things like that. But we really believe very strongly that everybody should be involved in this, because this isn't just about proposing a 4-year technical high school for the Landing for the sake of 4 more years, 4 years of a technical education. This is a major economic development project that's tying in with at the Landing. And we're in a very unique spot here in the Mid-Coast, as we all know. And one of the things that we know is that everybody is hurting for skilled people to fill businesses out there. So I wanted to take the show on the road. I've been hired this year to do that. I was the technical superintendent director at Region 10 for 4 years, and I loved every minute. I will tell you, I worked 70 hours a week and I could have worked 100. It was a fabulous place to work. So my role this year is to continue what was started actually before I came on board in 2016. So we have students obviously from Durham at our school. We love your students. We have Pownell students, Freeport students. We don't get enough students, quite honestly, from our sending schools. And I know there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of reasons, probably more than I do, but we know that there's obstacles. And one of the things we realize is that students really need 4 years of a technical education, and they need a place to put their feet and call it their home school and their base, and not have to have the conflicts back and forth through scheduling problems, and also senses of community. They like Freeport, but it's very hard to get up in the middle of the day and leave and come back and forth. So the proposal is that we'll be a school at the Landing. We have a very strong advisory board made up of businesses and educators from around the state. We're pursuing legislation to do this as a study to see if they're open to a 4-year technical school for us. So that'll be coming for the legislator this year.
Quick question, just when you refer to the Landing, just for people that maybe aren't familiar with that term yet, you're talking about the old Brunswick Naval Air Station, correct?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for clarification. I just get so used to thinking about it. But yes, they have an educational component as part of their redevelopment at the Landing, and they're looking to create a pipeline of workers so that they can bring in businesses from literally around the world. And we're the missing link. University of Maine at Augusta is over there. Southern Maine Community College is over there. There are a few other schools, the Real School, Harpswell Coastal's over there. They have land for us literally over there waiting. And we know that 4 years of a technical education is going to give a lot more training, the opportunity for our students to get more skills so they can either go out right to work, or they can go on to college and further their training through college avenues. So we're very excited. But what I do know is that not everybody knows what we're doing. So I'm here really to help answer some questions that you might have, keep you in the loop. Also to hear feedback. I'd like to know what you think. You're the selectman of Durham, and we know that you hear a lot of things from employers, people looking for, young people to come and work. So I'm gonna stop for a minute and just ask, first of all, if there's any questions that you have about any of the paperwork that I sent along, or any questions that I've shared. And I'm being very brief. I could literally, you let me loose, I could talk for an hour and not tell you everything that we're doing there. I'm so excited about what we're doing. But what questions do you have, or what are your thoughts?
I had a question on would this be done under the umbrella of the current RSU, or is it more of a separate, almost charter school type of proposal, or what does that look like?
Well, it looks like for funding and setup, we're not going to go charter. We're looking at setting up a magnet school. That has been, we've talked to the Department of Education, and they feel that that's the best way to set this up for this area, for this proposed school, because it's very different than how we offer technical education in this part-time model that we currently do. We plan to have the same board, which means we have representatives from RSU 5, SAD 75, and Brunswick on our cooperative board. We have to change legislation because we're set up according to legislation, and that would have to be changed. So that would be in the statutes coming, as we go forward.
So how is a magnet school different than a charter school in terms of what kids have to do to get in, and also in terms of the funding model?
There's an admissions process in terms of students getting in a magnet school. Charter schools, you take the first, whether it's 100 or whatever, you take them, and there's no real screening for that. They also, just the governance and how that's all set up. But a magnet school has to be very, very clearly defined about what your goal is, what your, how governance, everything. It's being spelled out to the letter.
And how about the funding model? What is that? Does the funding follow the kid? So if they didn't go to Freeport High School, would the funding follow them to this regional technical school?
The funding for a charter school follows the kid. For a magnet school, there's a separate line. And if you ask me to go deeper into that, I'd say, I would honestly look at you and go, that's really as deep as I know. But this is a whole separate block of money that they're looking at. Obviously, if a student is not enrolled in RSU 5, then there would not be subsidy for that student going into RSU 5. So right now, RSU 5 does get subsidy for students going in, but we also get money out of part of that. I don't know how the formula works, Kevin, but we get money from that. So I don't know if it's 50-50. We don't get, some money doesn't follow them into it. For instance, we have a very high percentage of special needs, well, not special needs, students who have IEPs or 504 plans, but we get no money to support those students at our school because it stays, for instance, at RSU 5. So in a magnet school, you would have all those services would be part of the amount that would be allocated by the state.
So what does it look like to the town in terms of finances? Is this like an additional school budget we would have to be involved? I mean, what does it look like?
My knowledge, Kevin, it isn't, but that's a good question. And what I'm going to do is write it. And as soon as when I get clarification on that question, I will ask that and send that along.
I think the vision is great. And I agree completely that there's more of a need for that type of education. And I hate to just get into all the money stuff, but I just know the questions that we're going to get. And a lot of it is going to be, oh, here comes another school bill, and I want to have factual information out there on, what that actually would or wouldn't mean.
Right. And as you should truly have as much information as you have. Quite honestly, when we met with the state, we met with Commissioner, the Deputy Commissioner, we met with Sarah Forrester, who is the General Counsel, and we looked at what would be best for funding, because we don't want to in any way draw away and have a separate bill come to you. But I know, for instance, how the magnet school is set up in Limestone and the one in Searsport, they get a chunk of money. And that money is used for students who go to that school, but not separate bills go to towns, for instance.
Okay.
So if you have a student from Durham that's going to the magnet school in Limestone, you don't get a separate bill
That's
for
right.
that.
That's right. Okay.
That's I don't want to say the beauty of it, but that's why looking at that funding, because we don't want to get into that, with tug of war. But realistically, and common sense would also say that if that student is not at your school at RSU 5, then that student there wouldn't be subsidy coming in for that as the count. And I don't know what you get for your subsidy.
Right.
But what I do know and what I do feel very strongly about is when schools such as this come into a community and people are excited about it, families move into communities to go into a school like that. And my feeling is not all families, when the families come in, you're not going to have every student who's going to want to go into this type of a school. You may have some that want to come into Freeport or some who want to go to the school, but it certainly is a draw. I know the schools in Massachusetts, their waiting list to get in. But I appreciate your questions because I think you're spot on to ask those questions. I mean, after all, you don't want a separate bill for $50,000 for 5 kids going, what the heck? The idea is great, but she just sold us a bill of goods and we don't want to do that. We can't get full answers, quite honestly, either, because the other piece of it is that you have to change how things go. We just can only we only look at how the magnet school in Limestone's working, and that's how they explained it to us, that a separate check went off to them and took care of that. And I know when kids stay there, the state pays the tuition for them to be there, and the parents pick up there's a boarding piece of it, so the parents pick that up. But there's no cost to an individual town to pay if Joe Smith wants to go up there.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, I suppose there is if you talk about taxes going that way, but
Sure. Other board members with questions or comments? No, did I ask all the questions? So,
well, we're a long ways from it becoming a, I always say when it happens, and a lot of people say if it happens. I believe it will happen, but this won't happen for quite some time. There's a lot of work that has to be done. We're at the very core, the very ground roots of this. We have people who are very supportive, but there's a lot of questions to be answered, and we know that. We know that the task force that they're looking at, we hope that they'll create. I mean, it was actually a LD that was approved last year, but there was a wrong date in it, and then the COVID hit, and they couldn't carry it off. But it's really to look at a 4-year technical high school model. So there'll be information coming out about that. The LD, when I get that, I'll send that on to you, and you can read that at your leisure. And that will just be to study the feasibility of it. We are also at Region 10 looking at having a feasibility study done so that we know that, can we sustain this? What's going to happen with it? So there'll be a lot more information coming out as we proceed. And my goal is to make sure that everybody, you folks and everybody else who aren't directly sitting at our table have that information in front of you. So when people come in and say, hey, this is what we know about, what do you know about it? That you have knowledge of it. And it's not just kind of, blindsided.
I did think of one more question as you were talking. Is your vision that this would ultimately replace the current model where kids spend part of their time at the call it, for lack of a better term, regular high school, and part of their time at the technical high school? Is the vision that hybrid would still be an option, or that it would be, no, you're either at your town's high school or you're at the technical high school?
It's funny, when you just moved over there, Kevin, to me. I don't know how you got over there, but the vision is that we would students would come for 4 years, 9 through 12. However, we know that there may be some students their senior year who might want to take a class or program. And one of the things we're working with is looking at other technical schools in our area that would be close enough for them to go to, for instance, Bath, and it would help their enrollment. So if someone says, well, look, I really want to go, me and my buddy from down here want to go up, we'll go to Bath and take a course at Bath, or at Lewiston if there's room, or if someone's parents are going to Portland and there's room. I mean, there are other schools that are around. We don't want to exclude them, but we know with this, what we're looking at is how much more training our students are going to have. Yeah. The other thing, honestly, there's a big stigma of students coming to a school part-time and leaving. And we want them to feel that there's pride in their school and they're getting the skills that they need. And we know that this can happen with a four-year school when it's their own and they can take ownership for that. So.
Okay, well, last call for any other questions from board members?
You guys are really quiet.
Yeah, yeah.
You gave me.
I tend to do a lot of the talking.
Well, no, but if you have questions, you have my contact information, I hope, on there. And when the bill, the LD 1036, not 1036, but when it's assigned a number, I'll send that down for you to have. I'll try to make sure that you're always in our loop so that you're aware of what's going on. I think the biggest thing that would be when we do a feasibility study, I think that will help answer a lot of questions for a lot of people. The state will take a while to change whatever they have to change, so that won't happen overnight. So if there's concerns with it, people have a chance to voice those concerns.
Yep.
So thank you very much. I'm not going to stay for your meeting, though.
Yeah, I can't really say I blame you. Sorry. Thank
Right.
you, Nancy. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, take care.
Yep.
All righty. That was pretty interesting, I thought. Okay, next on the agenda is 4B, the townwide mailing. Ruth sent us all a draft of that, which I thought was excellent. I had a couple of minor, really nitpicky things at the very beginning, like one including the phone number to call in for the public hearing, and in addition to the Zoom link. And Ruth, do you have the, do you want to put it up on the screen? Do you want to share it?
Sure, I can. I actually changed the things that you were talking
Oh,
about.
you already did? Okay.
I was doing that while she was talking. Okay. Do you see it?
Yep. All right, so good. So there's the information on the public hearing, phone, and Zoom, and then look for additional information and links to the budget meeting recordings on our webpage. Yeah, great. Those are the two things that I had said, called out. But any other board members have any comments or questions about this as they were reading through it?
No.
And then Ruth, can you bring up the estimate sheet so we can clarify that? Because I don't know if you guys noticed at the bottom of that estimate sheet, they basically added up all the options, and because there were several options listed, but they just added them all up for the total. So we're not looking at $4,000. We're looking at around what it was like 1,500 or 1,600 for the total 8-page mailer. So,
Can you see it?
no, still seeing the first
Yeah.
up.
Okay, let me do my new share. Where is it? Inbox. Oh, there it is. I have too many things open. All right, yeah, so you see it now?
Yeah.
So these are the different prices. I requested a quote for 6, 7, and 8 pages. 6 would have been really crowded and difficult to read. 7 would have been okay, but I was thinking, if 7 and 8 were very similar in price, that we'd go with the 8-page, and actually 8 is less.
Why is that?
I suspect it's because it's two-sided and it's just 2 sheets of paper folded together, as opposed to having to cut something.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what makes sense to me.
Okay.
And then the postage, which is the $511.80.
So we're just over $1,500 for the.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? No. Well, then I'm going to move that we approve the townwide mailer as presented and authorize Ruth to mail them out.
Second.
Rob seconds. Any further discussion on that?
Yeah, I would assume you'd want to mail it as the 8-page. There was 3
Yes.
options there.
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking yeah, sorry if I wasn't clear, to mail the 8-page option of the mailer. Yeah. Okay. All right, then I will call for a vote. If you're in favor of the motion, say yes. If not, say no. Todd Boyer,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
and I am a yes. And Mark Farren is not here. So, Okay. We'll move into department committee reports. Calvin, you are first this evening. And you're muted, Calvin.
Speak up, Kelvin.
Oh, sorry about that. So I sent you my report. So we seem to be fighting these every other day storms. We're actually about 100 tons ahead of last year in salt usage. We're about 1,400. Last year we were 1,300. So, certainly been busy with the weather pattern and the rain. So I've been in communication with the surrounding towns, Freeport, Yarmouth, North Yarmouth, Brunswick, Pownell, all looking to post the roads on March 1st. So that's the plan. We're a little late this year, but we've had some cold weather the last couple of weeks. So I put that out today on the Facebook. So people have already started calling to see about the waivers. People can still get on the road if it's below freezing in early mornings. Sent out the draft of the vehicle weight posting ordinance. If you guys have had a chance to look at that. So the one I sent just has in red letters the changes, which are very, very minimal. Those were my recommendations. Just basically added Meadow Road, Rabbit Road, Plummer Mill Road. Then, yeah, I misspelled, I get Plummer's Mill, so we'll take the S off that. And then on page 2, number 4, permits, section, well, it just says gross registered weight of the vehicle. I added the word legal because sometimes they don't register them for what they should be registered. And so that means what it's supposed to be registered at legally. And the only other change was on number 7 and 8. There was a typo in the other one that said property noticed, and it should have said properly. So I struck the word property and put properly in there. And number 8, changed the word selectman to select board, and just changed the date from June 19th, 2012 to February blank 2021, due to the fact that we don't have an attested copy. We don't have a signed copy anywhere. So I don't think it's legal or enforceable, what we have. So this, I think if you just adopted this here as new today, then signed it and we put that in the book, we would be good.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're gonna do that today.
Not today,
We need to have the lawyer look it over first, and then, but I think if we have Ruth, if you're listening, if we could have Jack review this and just make sure we're and just confirm that those state regulations do give the board the power to set this ordinance without going to a town meeting, and that the wording here is fine, then we can review and vote at either our next meeting or the one after.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Calvin. That's good stuff putting that together. Appreciate that that effort. So we'll have the lawyer review it and go from there.
And I sent an email yesterday. And yeah, so the final thing here is I've got the contract documents for the paving completed, the revisions, and would just like to get that sent out to bid, out for invitation to bid. So it's the same, basically the same thing as we had last year.
You mean the request for bids? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've already authorized you to go out to bid. I think if you want, probably Rob would be the logical choice if you want Rob to look it over and, if he hasn't already, and look like if it's good to go in his opinion, then I think we're good to send it out.
Yeah, I looked it over, Calvin. Go ahead. I don't have any concerns.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And then I sent you an email yesterday about the, so both of those, back in November, the board authorized me to apply for 2 grants. That was when Kevin was out, I think, in November on a hunting trip or something that Rob was filling in for you. So I did apply for those and we did get both of them. So one on Swamp Road, one on Quaker Meeting House Road. So I would, from here, I'd like authorization to get the permitting process started and the design process, the design work.
Can you just give us a quick recap on that again, Calvin, of exactly what that entails? Not necessarily to get the permit application, but in regards to scope of work, what's on our end, what we're actually doing there.
So we would, same thing we did on Auburn Pownell Road, we would go ahead and get the design, get it designed by the engineer and get the Army Corps of Engineers permitting and the DEP permitting done and get that to the DEP so we can get the money.
Yeah,
And
Auburn Pownell Road, if my memory serves, was a match program, I believe, or something of that nature. We had to come up with funds. What's the dynamics look like for the funding / payment of this?
So they're both non-matching. The last time we got 95,000 apiece. This time we're getting 125,000 apiece. But we have to pay whatever the cost difference is. And you see the estimates are 165 and 170, and we'd be getting 125. Those are estimates. I mean, they could come in lower, they could come in higher.
So would we work that into the scope of the budget for this coming year, or would we have to do another special meeting like we've had in the past for some of the
The
stuff?
last time we took it from capital, and the board was authorized, I believe, to do that. And talked to Ruth today, and Ruth,
Town meeting, do that.
Ruth.
No, yeah, last time, Calvin, we took it from undesignated funds and we had a town meeting to do that, but you
But I
could
thought we went
conceivably
to the
take
Youth
it.
Center.
Yeah, you could conceivably take it from capital.
And Ruth, we do have $98,000 in the bridge account.
Yeah,
That perhaps the board could use that. I know that's on the, is that one of the warrant articles to have that converted or transferred to capital?
yeah, to put it into the public capital fund, yeah.
Or some of that money if needed.
So Calvin,
Calvin,
will we,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna ask, what's the timeline for spending the money?
It is, I'm trying to recall, I think it's 1 year and we have 2 years to complete it and 1 year to actually get it. I think it has to go out this year and be finished by next year.
Okay, so we could go through, do the design, accept the grant, do all that stuff this year, pay for the grant, pay for the design out of the grant, and then get bids, and then we could build it into our budget for next year, so we'll know what that extra cost is.
I'd have to get the details exact on that. I have to talk
Yeah, I
with
think, Calvin, I think we should just do a 1-page or simple timeline on, deadlines, like when the engineering work will be done, just so we can see it written out and confirmed on, deadline to accept the grant, deadline to spend the grant money, all that stuff, so that we can see it in black and white.
Okay. I can put that.
Rich?
No, just, Rob, you just mentioned, I have no idea when it comes to this stuff. They all seem to come up every couple of years, but did you say we could pay for the design, do the design with the grant money, and then therefore decide whether or not we're going to use the grant?
No, we would have to decide that we're
That's what I
going,
thought.
but
Okay.
yes,
So we might
would
have an
to-
out-of-pocket expense before we know what the actual cost is what you're saying.
Possible, yeah.
For the engineering work, probably, yeah.
Or we may,
Yeah,
we
so
may
it
be
would-
on the hook for the engineering work if we don't end up
What's
accepting
that,
it.
5-10 grand?
So the engineering, those cost estimates included engineering in the estimates for the completion.
Calvin, I remember when the Auburn Pownell Road, there was that was related to like environmental and fish issues, wasn't it? And there was almost a sense of urgency about that. What's the case here? Are these like these? It'd be nice to do, but yeah, if we don't, it's okay. Or is it a pressing matter, or what's the status of these?
Well, the window of ability to work in the stream is from July 15th to September 30th. So we have a very short time frame. We ran into issues last time with we couldn't get the steel, and then they had to switch to aluminized and whether.
I'm sorry, I guess maybe my question wasn't clear. I guess I'm asking, how is it important that we do this work at all? You know, like, is it a really pressing matter, or is it, hey, there's this grant opportunity, let's take advantage of it and get it done while we have grant funds? Or is it something that's pretty urgent and we're gonna need to address this whether we get grant funds or not? Where is it in there?
Well, the Swamp Road floods every year. We have often 2 or 3 times a year. It's underwater and we have to block the road, send traffic several miles for a detour. And so that's been a pressing issue. And I think that really should be done sooner than later. The Quaker Meeting House Road is, it's something we're gonna have to do eventually. And it would be nice to get it done now, but it doesn't have to be done right now, but.
That's fine. That's what I was looking for. I mean,
Both of them have trout in it, I believe.
Well, they're critical salmon habitat. That's what put them very high on the,
Salmon?
we have salmon in Durham?
well, it's considered critical salmon habitat, so.
If there was a salmon there, it'd be nice
Sometimes
habitat.
it
for 'em.
doesn't
I'm gonna open a lodge.
So they put them high on the scoring list, so.
Okay,
Good, that
great,
works.
thank you. All right, well, yeah, so
I'll get to the timeline.
put together that timeline of, you know, the key grant dates and everything, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, all right. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Going back to my agenda here. Town Administrator, Ruth, do you have anything that you wanted to discuss tonight?
Not really. I'm afraid I didn't get to do a report for you. I've been, working on stuff.
Okay,
Nothing really pressing. Everything seems to be going fine.
okay. Just an update to the board and anyone watching. I did, because we're gonna get into announcements here pretty soon, but I did confirm with David Barrett from MMA that he's available on Tuesday, the 9th at 6:30, which would be our regular meeting time. So Ruth, the plan there on Tuesday, the 9th is we'll do a very quick agenda. So no department head reports, just only critical business, like, you know, approve the warrant. And if there's something else critical we need to address, we will. But that's when the board will meet with David and we'll be going through our first round of resume reviews for the town manager position. And just to let people know, you know, how that's working right now, we received around 40 applications. I mean, they were still coming in last time I spoke to David from MMA. And so there was a lot of interest in the position. We asked him to kind of take out, you know, the top 15-ish, excuse me, as the resumes that the board would review. Each board member is reviewing the resume packets independently, and we're each coming up with our own, what we think are the top 6. And then at this meeting on the 9th, and this will be an executive session because it's a personnel matter, we'll be meeting with David Barrett from MMA to kind of compare our notes on the top 6, and with the objective coming out of that meeting with the list of candidates that we wish to bring in for a first interview. So that is where the process for town manager is. Also, later tonight in executive session, we'll be discussing and appointing the people that expressed interest in participating in the citizen interview panel that'll have the opportunity to interview the finalists that are selected out of the round of first interviews. So we'll be doing that tonight after the regular meeting and executive session as well. So that's the update on the town manager search. Okay, so I'm going to move, we're on to the consent agenda, and I'm going to move that we accept the consent agenda as presented. Rich seconds that. No discussion on the consent agenda vote. If you're in favor, say yes. If not, say no when I call your name. Todd Bowyer,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Rich George,
Sure.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay, so I just gave details on our March 9th meeting, and then our next regular meeting after that is March 23rd. But in between there, please remember on Tuesday, March 16th at 6 p.m., a little bit earlier than our normal time, will be our public hearing for our referendum secret ballot town meeting that will be held on April 6th. Did I get that right? Is it April 6th?
Yes,
That's when the in-person voting will be, but absentee ballots are available soon,
probably the end of next week,
probably next week.
end of next week.
Okay. All right. So at this point, I'm going to move that the board go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA Section 405 6A for discussion of personnel matters. Rich seconds. I'll call board members for a vote. Todd Bowyer,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, we are in executive session.